And back now to the big story, Israel and India. They are already major trade partners, billions of dollars every year. A lot of that money comes from the big D words, defense and diamonds. Both Netanyahu and Modi want to change that. The big prize for Israel one day is to land a free trade pact. But for now, at least, the two nations have signed 9 major agreements representing a major path forward. Indian companies, for example, may be exploring oil and gas in the Mediterranean. Indian movie producers may soon be scouting Israeli locations to shoot Bollywood movies. And there's new cooperation as well in cybersecurity and business partnerships. Joining me now in studio is Yuval Susskind. Yuval's with Partner Pollination Ventures to talk about the economic partnerships between these two nations. Aside from defense and all of that, really, what do you think is an industry or an area, really, that this trip can help forge an important new path forward economically between these two countries?
Well, Jeff, look at where the two governments have agreed to invest money in setting up an R&D fund to support companies in 3 major sectors. That's agri-tech, water, and medicine, mainly digital medicine. So in those companies, the Prime Minister is accompanied by 18 Israeli startups that are in that sphere, to meet also equivalent number of Indian startups. And the opportunity is, look, Indian government is looking for innovation in Israel all across the sectors. Cybersecurity, fintech is really big. Okay, digital banking. Every Indian today is doing banking on his smartphone. And so a lot of Israeli innovation is relevant for India.
But how does it work economically? I mean, especially with your area of expertise. I mean, are Israeli families one day going to pick up and move to India and work there? Or Indian families going to come here? Will it be joint companies? How does that work?
So the natural evolution is to eventually set up a joint venture. Indians, unlike other nations, Americans, Chinese, Indians would rather not invest in Israeli companies, but would rather invest in the setup of Israeli partnerships in India. So the evolution towards a joint venture is the more natural step in which to enter the Indian market. And one of the expectations, to answer your question, is for Israelis to actually show up presence and be in India for a while. They don't like people flying back and forth. They want to see Israelis on the ground.
Presence there.
Yes.
So the fact that, I mean, this warmth, this genuine warmth between these two leaders, will it help get Israelis or get Indians to work together and really invest a lot of money, millions, tens of millions of dollars in these areas of digital banking, digital medicine?
So it's on the Prime Minister Modi's responsibility to smoothen bureaucracy in India and make it easier.
The fact that he likes Netanyahu personally probably helps that.
There's a lot of personal chemistry. There's a lot of personal respect, both for Netanyahu and for our innovation and the skills that we have to offer. But I must say, India also in response offers a big market and is expecting Israeli companies to step up to the plate and show up professionally in order to enter that market.
You've only mentioned before water and agriculture, fields that are important for different reasons, so important to Israelis and so important to India. Why is this such an important venture moving forward?
The idea is the low-hanging fruit is to help India solve its big problems. And those are in water and feeding the nation, feeding the world's largest democracy, cleaning the water that is unpurified due to misuse, due to corruption, due to lack of energy, running wastewater treatment plants. So there's a lot of Israeli innovation that can help them solve big problems, and that's what Prime Minister Modi is looking to adopt.
So when the Prime Minister of Israel, when Benjamin Netanyahu returns, tomorrow heads back to Israel, really, how long do these things take to get on the ground running if we're going to notice a difference?
So nothing in India happens quickly. But such is life in any big market that you're trying to enter. India is not a nation. India is a subcontinent, twice the size of Europe, varied and fragmented. Doing business in southern India and northern India is completely different. It'll take time, but I think it's well worth the reward.
And we're on the path.
Yes, exactly.
Let me bring into this conversation as well. Joining us from Mumbai is Baman Mehta. He is the CEO of Darashar Investment Banking House. It's one of the biggest banking houses in the country. Sir, thanks so much for being with us. What do you say is the key driver in this economic partnership moving forward, if you can hear me? What's the big thing moving forward? Can you hear me, sir? Are you with us from Mumbai? Baman, can you hear me? No, we cannot. All right, so we'll go back to Yuval, that question. Moving forward, the big driver moving forward, is it necessity? Is it technology? I mean,
I think what will be judged about a year from now is seeing whether these initial initiatives, both by the Israeli Innovation Authority and the equivalent party Invest in India, whether these initial initiatives to harvest those 18 startups in agri-tech and water and digital health will bear fruit and be able to launch forward. And time will tell.
All right. Thanks so much for your analysis. A major story impacting billions of dollars moving forward. Thanks so much for your analysis. All right, big story now. U.S. officials in America, they're demanding immediate changes to the national network, rather a patchwork network of notifications, sirens, alerts that are supposed to warn about incoming missiles. This comes after the disaster in Hawaii over the weekend where an inaccurate statewide alert about an incoming missile sent people into a panic. We now know Hawaiian officials and the U.S. president knew within 180 seconds. It was all a false alarm. There was no missile coming, but Hawaiians were left in the dark for 38 terrifying minutes. On our New York program Stateside, Americans who lived through this experience say they are still outraged.
It was terrifying to get that message, to know that everything could be over. And my first thought was to get my family together. My little girl was asleep. My wife had gone out for a walk back to the building. You know, there was a period of anger that I felt. How such a thing could happen? How could we be misled by our elected officials in such a way?
And speaking of false missile alerts, it happened again, this time in Japan. Today, the Japanese national broadcaster is issuing on-air apologies and mea culpas after an incoming missile alert was falsely sent yesterday. Everyone with that phone app got the message saying North Korea launched a missile and people need to find shelter underground. The mistake was corrected in a matter of minutes, but now the Japanese government is asking the broadcaster to take steps to make sure it does not happen again.